Welcome back to Four Titles, One Truth, the podcast where we talk life beyond the uniform, fatherhood, legacy, leadership, and what it really means to be two black men who've seen it, lived it, and now get to talk about it.
And today's topic, retirement.
Yeah.
Not the Jones getaway, dream vacations kind. We're talking about the one that happens after you decide to take the boots off after decades of military service.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's not always a smooth transition. People think it's easy to walk away, but when you've worn that uniform that long, taking it off, it just hits differently.
So today we're unpacking what we experienced before and after we retired, what we got right, what we didn't see coming, and what we tell anyone else getting ready to make that move.
Yeah. You ready?
Let's get into it.
Okay, here we go. All right, so the first question is, what was your mindset going into retirement? Like, were you excited, nervous, or somewhere in the middle?
I was at peace. I was good.
Oh, really?
I felt really good. Yeah, I mean, because whenever you, I guess your body or your mind would tell you when it's time. You know, our people always said that.
Mm.
And when I finally decided to put my paperwork in, because I had talked to my wife and stuff already, and all of the things that I put forth, to the criteria that I put forth to say, okay, I can retire with a clean, clean mind, clean slate, where it had been done. So I was good. I felt good.
So I was a little different. So my retirement was coming up after COVID. So not only had it just, given everything I had for the career, right? But I was the school sergeant major for transportation. And, I felt a new surge of energy to help through this crazy chaos that we're going through, right? And so when retirement was starting to come up, I talked to my wife, Nikki, and she was like, it's time, it's time. And so I knew that the 30-year mark was coming, but I was actually questioned about possibly moving to another job.
I was going to ask, was it a mandatory or was it you decided?
Well, if I didn't take that job, then it was mandatory,
okay.
Right? Because to extend past 30 years, you have to serve at different levels,
right?
And so I was still out there entertaining and to be honest, hoping. But then when Nikki said that it's time, it was still my decision to retire.
Okay.
But I wasn't 100% convinced that it was through. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I hear what you're saying.
And so once I dropped my paperwork and once I finally got my head wrapped around that, forget the other jobs, possibilities, you've reached your limit, let's go. I was nervous. And then when I dropped it and when I knew that date was coming, I think I was fake ready.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Meaning
fooling yourself.
Because when people hear you drop that retirement, the first thing they say is congratulations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get in that role, that mode where you like, yeah, I'm about to be done with this, But in reality, I still wasn't 100% convinced that where I was, what I was going to do, and how I deal with retirement.
Well, you've been doing it for I was happy, and I was like, okay, but I still had that feeling too, where it's like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I finished? Know, but because it's just, that's all I've known for the last 29 years.
Yeah. So, and then the fact of, what are you going to do afterwards? It's like, there's money out there for anybody that's done that long.
Out there. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
It don't matter what your rank was. I take that back. It doesn't matter you make the rank we're talking about, colonel and sergeant major. There's money where you can at least make close to or way more than what you made in the military.
Yep.
That's because of your experience, right?
Yep.
But the question I had in my mind was, do I want to dive back into something new and give all of my energy to it? Because I'll be honest with you, my marriage got better during COVID.
You're spending a lot of time
Absolutely.
together.
Yeah, we got to know each other, and it I wasn't sure if I was able to get out of the Army and then go back into a full flat, because I'm a competitive person. I'm a driven person. So if I got back into another job, it was going to be the same.
You ain't want to get lost in
Yeah.
it. Lost in it again.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so that was my mindset when I retired on was I ready, and then what I was going to do afterwards. So here we are.
Okay. All right. No, that's good. I understand. Say, okay, Tommie, how did you prepare for retirement mentally, emotionally, and financially?
So financially, we were good, right? Because the Army has the 401k.
Yep.
And then I was making enough money to where I was financially sound. Credit score was well and beyond. So there was, and I knew that with retirement and also with disability, I was going to be okay if I did nothing. Right. So financially locked in, that was never a concern for me. All right. Emotionally, it goes back to the previous question. It was excitement. It was nervousness of the unknown.
All of the above.
Yeah, it was all that. And so mentally, I wasn't 100% confident going into retirement.
No, was she retired already, or was she still on
she
active duty?
retired.
So she retired.
Yeah,
Okay, so she retired before you.
Yeah, she retired 2 years.
Remember. Okay.
2.5 years in front of me.
Okay.
Before me. Yeah. So what about you?
All right. Similarly, we did what we were supposed to do. You put away kids. We were fortunate enough to had a GI Bill that we were able to pass on to them. So we got them through school without, paying big grips. Yeah. So that piece we were fine. And Audra was, again, she was retired colonel also. And she retired in 2022. Yeah, 2022. So we were good that way. And then she went back and got another job about 7 months after she retired. So it was like, okay. All right. And then, like, again, talking to folks that had retired, because I was probably the last one out of a big group of friends that was still on active duty and was about to retire. So a lot of things they were saying, oh man, and folks in my office that had been on active duty and retired and went back to work. Said, oh, you ain't gonna have to work. People, I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not gonna have to work, because I'm trying to do the math in my head,
Right.
But then again, when you start putting in disability and all of those things, we're doing okay.
Yeah.
Doing all right. So my mindset was like, I didn't want to do anything because the biggest reason why I was retiring anyway was just from health reasons that was stemming from stress and other things like that. That it was just like, it's time for me to
relax.
Step away from this, and just like let my mind rest a little bit.
Right.
So I was good. I was good.
Mentally,
when it came mentally and
emotionally.
emotionally. Yep.
Okay. So how has your identity changed now that you're no longer in uniform? Besides the obvious.
Yeah, it's the same. And, for me, I feel like I think I always did a pretty good job of keeping my feet on the ground as far as my rank and all of that stuff. And when and my wife is anybody that knows my wife knows that she keeps my feet on the ground. Don't give me a chance. My friends don't. I tried to stay pretty. I tried to stay pretty level headed through the whole thing, through my whole career. So I don't think that it's changed, because I still get, and it's still I'm still getting phone calls just for. Which is, it's a good feeling, as far as, because then I feel like, okay, I knew what I was talking about, I knew what I was doing, that people are going to call and ask for advice and things like that about things. So, but it's nice not being, it's nice being Mr. Taylor or Lance.
On your own schedule.
Yeah, and not, you can talk to folks without feeling like, okay, I ain't trying, look, you can still let me know what's going on without, just.
So let the people know when you retire.
I just retired in last year, in 2024. September of 2024 was my official retirement date. So I'm new to the game, and everybody, wet behind ears, a little wet behind ears, but it's a great feeling. It is a great feeling, and to know that if I needed to go back out and get a job, I could go out and get a job. I think without any problem, just because of the training, the time, the jobs, the places that I got to
skill set.
got to work at prepared me for that, and I think it prepares a lot. I mean, if you take advantage of your different assignments and the different schoolings and things out there that we would look at and be like, why are we doing this? That these companies are paying big dollars to bring people in to train them on, that we were doing it on an annual basis,
experience,
that they want, that you have those skills, you had that skill set out there. So
I only asked that question because we're in two different categories when it comes to retirement, to where I'm 4 years in, so I've had a chance to evolve into this retirement thing over a certain amount of time, and he has a different perspective. So I just wanted to point that out. Now, when I'm talking about retiring in the first two questions we asked, I'm talking about my mindset at that moment, like right before the moment of retirement, during that moment, and then right after, because I once again have had a chance to evolve. And so when this question is how my identity has changed now that I'm not in uniform, it's a little different for me, because I've always been more than sir, right? I've always been, and a partner of mine, we talked on the phone just yesterday, and he was like, we've always been sergeant, we've always been staff sergeant, we've always been sergeant first class, master sergeant, first sergeant, or sergeant major. So just by saying that rank, that is your identity, right?
okay.
And so when you make sergeant major, if you're not in the military, it's hard to explain. Like, when I walk into a room, people automatically notice me, right? And automatically adjust and react. I know it's the same for you, but I will, and correct me if I'm speaking out, it's a little more relaxed in that hospital environment when it comes to rank and the customs and courtesies expectations, because your team that you build, it has to be a little different.
Well, I mean, and we're not in, quote unquote uniform. You're in you're in uniform,
right,
when you guys are at work all the time. I mean, we wear our uniform in,
right,
wear it out, but usually we're in whatever. Where in my area, we were in scrubs every day. I mean, but it's.
And when you walk into a room, you can't afford to have people jumping up and screaming attention and stuff like that.
It's a different. It's a different expectation as far as what you expect folks.
Absolutely. And so, like with me, And then where I was a school sergeant major, right? And so uh, that building, and for everybody across the country in transportation, I was known, right? And
Yep.
it's so my identity was locked in for years, because if you throw first sergeant and sergeant major together, I was that rank for 15, them two ranks
Okay.
for 50, 14, 15 years. So that's a lot
It's a long
of,
time of being a
absolutely.
man.
And I was a first sergeant for 6 years. So you get locked in that identity of when I walk into a room, when I walk into a building. And so the moment you retire and get out of that uniform, that stops completely. And I'm not arrogant enough to think that I deserve it afterwards. It's just a change. That's all I'm saying. And to where when you go to Mr. after being labeled something for 26 out of your 30 years, there is a difference.
Or Tommy.
Absolutely.
Tommy
Yeah.
Jones.
And that's fine. And it's something that I could get my head on, but I have to admit it was a change, right? It was an identity change. And it was something that I was happy to get out of, because I knew years before I retired that I did not want to be one of those people that everything was always
About your
when
wife.
I was
Yeah.
well, back in the day, I am proud of my service, and I gave everything. The only thing I didn't give was my life, right? And so that is something I honor and treasure and I'm proud of. But when I went into civilian world after retirement, I didn't want to always have those Army conversations everywhere I went. So I don't have Army memorabilia on my car. I don't have my rank identified. I do have my license plates because, right? But it's not sergeant major. It's a medal, And so my identity absolutely
Like you earned
changed.
that. You should be proud of that. I mean, it's nothing wrong.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's nothing wrong with that. There's
Yes.
nothing wrong with that.
And so all that to say, and I'm talking a lot, but all that to say, my identity changed, and I was ready for the change, but it's absolutely a change.
Yeah. It is. It is. Say, hey, okay, Tommy, what role did your spouse or family play in your retirement transition?
Oh my gosh, I really can't express how Nikki. So Nikki was okay with me not doing anything for a year right after retirement, so that I could figure it out. Right. And having the ability to lean on somebody like that, to where they have no expectation for you and allow you to basically adjust on your own, because every morning I left my house with the intent on training soldiers and making mission. And so the first time you wake up and that's not your responsibility, that is huge. 'Cause that means, what am I supposed to focus on? And once again, we had already agreed, because when she retired, I did the same thing. Take a year off with no expectations, with no nothing. You just sit down and you figure out what you want to do. And that's how she came up with the idea of wanting to be a travel agent and owning her own travel agency. And so during that time, I didn't expect her to wake up until 2 o'clock if she wanted to. And I absolutely made sure that I did nothing to make her feel like she owed me something.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
And she did the same for me. And that's not something you can't really walk in expecting somebody to do exactly what you did for them. But anyway,
Yeah, and then depending on the time period between your retirement, you don't know what it could have changed.
whether it be financially or whatever.
whatever.
I got you.
Yeah.
And so Nikki, specifically, by her not being pushy and by her not being on me all the time, and then for me to be able to find my role, because what kept me occupied immediately was we had just moved into a new house. And so getting the house right
Mm-hmm.
is a daily duty no matter what,
Yep.
and just trying to figure out and get what you want. So that's where my mind was. But after about 6 months of being in the house and being retired, you start to run out of things to do. And then you got to start thinking about, what am I going to do? And then that's where I started to come into that conflict of my value to my family.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're the primary breadwinner, and when you're able to be in a situation where your wife never has to ask for something, because you all, between her and I, were financially, in a great place.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yes, you earned retirement, and yes, you earned your disability, but you don't feel like, I didn't feel like I was working for it. So
Mm-hmm.
I sort of felt like my value was falling. Yeah. And so, it took me a while to find something, because once again, I did not want to go back into the workplace and then get involved in something and then lose my connection that we had rebuilt.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And
Yeah, that's
so
interesting.
I ended up, I'll end it by saying the biggest role that Nikki played was just giving me the opportunity to work through it without the burden on my shoulders of, if I don't make this decision immediately, our family will fall or fail,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that was it. And then the rest of my family and friends were, it's hard not to pat somebody on the back when you find out they're retiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the support and the congratulations, that was in
Yep.
abundance. But the hard questions of, are you okay? Or
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of folks get, especially when you're in for the 29, 30 years plus, at the rank of colonel or general or sergeant major, they can't get away from it.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to go back to, because I have some folks that I know that retired, and they had to get back
Yeah.
to that government, military
that
environment,
that controlled
yeah,
environment.
around,
Yeah.
just to have it around them
Yeah.
in order to operate, and because people are telling me, say, oh, you're gonna go back to work, you're gonna get bored,
Yeah.
you're gonna go back, you're gonna miss it. I'm like, I miss the people, I miss the
Right.
day to day of talking to folks and doing stuff like that, maybe,
Yeah.
but as far as like some of the other things that you have to deal with,
Yeah.
not at all, especially after watching Audra go through it. Are you still good? After watching Audra go through it, I saw, it's like, okay, you transition from wearing a uniform and in the highest role that you could have up in your field, up in DC at headquarters, and doing all of those things, to a civilian role where you're doing the same thing that you were doing, but you're much happier.
Right. Yeah.
You're talking about the support that you have. You're talking all of the things that were like, okay, you were doing that in the military, but I would get the phone calls where it was like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
I don't know. To now it's like she is
Flourishing.
happy. Yeah,
Yeah.
just thriving,
Yeah.
thriving in it. And so for me, and the same thing that, like, for that you auditioned, Audrey was like, you don't got to work. You don't have to go back. You don't have to do anything. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm
Yeah.
I'm
I'll
good.
take it.
And as a, and it's a blessing to
100%.
be able to do that, not have to worry about, okay, I got to take care of my kids. I got to do that, because they were, both of them had graduated, and both of them got their jobs with benefits,
Yeah.
so
Get your legs underneath them.
yeah, so that piece of, and they were all supportive of me finishing. I remember Miles. I said, "Dad, are you sure?" You know, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." You know, I'm good. And I mean, and it's allowed me to try to get back something. You never get back time, but I'd say that try to get back some of that time that I missed from the kids, being either being stationed away from them or being deployed, you know, or when they were in school and you know we're here, you know, just getting to know them better, you know, which has been has been great, you know, because I mean they're great kids, and you just see the differences in how we how we grew up and the mindset of the generations that's going on now. But yeah, I mean, very supportive. Family was very supportive of it. I mean, and when the folks say that, you know, oh man, that's a long time. You know, that's 29 years. That's a long time. You know, I mean, it doesn't feel like that. You know, because I truly enjoyed serving. I truly enjoyed my job and the people who I worked around, and what I did. So I mean, if you love something and it's clicking for you, continue to do it, man. Absolutely. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, I can't argue with none of that. So okay, so we've talked about our trials and tribulations, and I'll just actually say one more thing that you hit on, that if you've been in the military that long, you're going to miss that camaraderie. You're going to, because even now, I was in the military longer than I wasn't. Even now. Think about that. So, that was my life. That was my blood. It was my blood from after basic training. I felt like this is where I belong. And then to just not only continue to serve, but to continue to progress, and then be able to turn around and try to put that passion on your subordinates. That's full commitment, right? And so I missed that. But you also miss some of the things like change, right? When you make the ranks we made, there's a belief even in you that you can change the world. And the sad part is the only thing you can change is when you do an about face and the people behind you. Because what is the machine, whether it's where you are or the Army, that it one individual doesn't change that. And I'm not saying that sergeant majors and colonels don't have influence. I'm asking you to look into history. The Army is, specifically the military, is a rolling machine that 12 o'clock is always going to come back to 12 o'clock. They repeat a lot of the same things.
I mean, and it's hard because you can make some huge changes, make a huge difference in a place that you're assigned to for the 3 years, 4 years,
you're there.
2 years that you're there, and then the person that comes behind you
and wash all
doesn't do, you know, doesn't follow up, or does, you know, changes something, or you're just like, why did they change that? So that's probably the big difference from being in a civilian position, where you can have people in a civilian position for 10 years, 15 years, you know, in the same spot, same place.
And that's the difference.
You know, but they don't, a lot of, well, I shouldn't say, I don't want to offend anybody, but they don't get the that training that we had, that leadership training and experiences that we have. So I mean, so they're learning a lot of those things on the job. So maybe by their 7th or 8th year, they're what we were doing at 2 years at a spot. Just because we just were fortunate enough to experience, you know, have the experience and allowed to learn that stuff at a younger
and it's what we were built to be. There's a difference, right? A civilian leader is not built to rotate every 2 years.
No.
Right?
Well, people don't move like that.
That's what I'm saying. And we were built that way. It's like, this is the first time since I joined when I was 19 that I no, I will remember my street address until I die. There are places I live, I can't remember the street address where I was.
I
So,
can see it.
but anyway, what advice would you give to someone about to retire from the military?
I know that this is what y'all been waiting for. Other stuff has been like, why are they talking about this? But I can tell you, coming out of the medical arena, is your medical records, and you're looking to get your disability ratings and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that nobody. I mean, I didn't know about this when I was younger, but it seems like it's overkill, but every 1 to 2 years, I would say get a printed copy of your medical records, because I can tell you, after being in for as long as the both of us were in, and you start trying to get a record of all of your medical records from when you first started, they went from paper, hard copy stuff to digital, and it gets cut. I mean, so it's like, I think 2004 or something like around that time, 2004, 2005, they started the digital piece. So when I was trying to get all of my, I was like, where are all of my records? Because they didn't transcribe everything. So it's like 3 assignments or 4 assignments. I didn't have, I was trying to track down stuff like that. So I would tell you now, or if you've been in where they were still doing hard copy, or you've been deployed, or you've been to places where they're not doing digital records and things like that, start trying to get a copies of those things, so that whenever you get ready to file for your disability and stuff, you have everything that they want, because you might think that you have an ailment or something, or it's like, oh, this will be worth some a good percentage. You'll be surprised at the things
math is a little different.
Yeah,
disability
you'll be
math is a little different.
So the more things you have documented, go in and get it doesn't matter. Go in and get it documented, so that it's in your medical record, so that it can get looked at whenever you start applying for your disability, for your VA disability claim. And now I know that you can put in, you can actually submit your paperwork for retirement 2 years now, 2 years in advance. So because I did mine in a year, because it's a lot of things that I don't know what you got to take too much away, but it's a lot of things that you can, a lot of services out there that once you say, okay, I'm retiring, you can start looking into, and classes and things like that are very, there's some good classes, good resume, good job search. I mean, a lot of things that are out there that are afforded to you
to prep you
to get you ready to transition to the civilian sector. And
Absolutely.
the thing is that if you were like probably the both of us, it's like, I don't have time to go to this thing, to these things. I got a job, I got to work, I need to go do this. So instead of taking care of yourself, which a lot of us do, that we don't take care of ourselves, because we're taking care of
the mission,
our people, and then because when you get out, you're out. It's no going back. You're done. So it's like, if you know that it's coming up for you, and you'll know when it's time, start, take advantage of those programs and things that are out there, and all those services, because they're there, and those folks are willing and ready to help you. They love their jobs, they love what they're doing, and they're great. They do a really good job at it.
Agreed.
Trying to think of what else.
Well, just the only thing I'd add to the medical part of it is, when we're at the level we were, and you all are, if you're that level, you're trained to not take care of yourself. You're trained to take care of yourself on your time. But when you're in these leadership positions, you realize your time is about this much, and then you dedicate that to your family.
Yeah.
So if your knee is bothering you, go get it checked out. All right. You don't have to, in my time, you don't have to accept the profile, but that doesn't mean that you didn't get diagnosed and get it documented. Right. And you don't have to ignore your medical
Yeah,
injuries
yep,
or medical situations, because if you do, then you'll pay for it when it
yep.
comes time to try to
It
claim that
doesn't
stuff.
matter how little, how small you
Yeah,
think it is. Go get it checked out.
yeah. Because
Yep.
once you're older, those little things mount up.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So my advice that I would give someone about to retire from the military, since we had a medical expert over here, um, I, my advice is a few things. First off, uh, when it's time for you to retire, the physical part of that is easy. The mental part is what you have to focus on. And what I mean by that is you have to detach so that you can focus, right? And so if you're about to retire, then you need to detach as soon as possible from your current job so that you can focus on your future outside of the military, right? That's the first piece of advice. And I know the Army plays with that. The Army
Hmm.
plays with that. But at the same time, if you're at the levels we are, you have the ability to enhance that, right? I had the ability to call somebody to make sure that my replacement was early.
That's exactly what
You
I
know
was
what
gonna
I'm
say.
saying?
Yeah, it's like you got to let them know that you got
Absolutely.
that you're retiring.
And
Let
it's,
them know what your plans are, so that they get somebody here, so that you have the time
absolutely.
to.
Because people will take advantage of you,
Hmm.
right? And the main reason that they take advantage of you is not because to slight you, but you're so competent. They're like, oh, they're good. They're good after the Army,
Yep.
after the military. So that's one thing. Another thing I would say, going back to the mental aspect of it, is when you know you're retiring and now that you have a 2-year window, start focusing on your family. Start focusing on your relationships with your family so that you can uh, lean on them, but also so that they can empower you to um, have your vision clear when you're looking into your future,
Yep.
right? Um, and a quick way I'll explain that is uh, during COVID, Nikki and I got closer, right? And that closeness um, changed my vision. It honestly made me say, do I want to leave her and go back into this fight, even though it mean more money and make things easier? Or do I want to stay close and continue to grow that? So that's just my example. But focus on the family that you're going to be with in the future so that you can use them to keep you afloat and focused, as well as take that energy from them and just make
Put
the right
things into
decisions.
perspective.
Right, yeah. And then finally, without going into too much, I would say once you leave the military, there's nothing you can do to stop that drop from your importance, your daily operations, your focus on the mission, how much involved you are in the military. There's nothing you can do that's going to prevent a drop when you get out, because no matter, unless you're back in the military, you're not going to get that same,
That high.
uh, what do they call it, drinking water from a fire hydrant. You're not going to get that same flow because nothing else is life or death like that,
Mm-mm.
right? There are a lot of things that people pretend are life and death, but there's nothing else in this world that keeps you focused 24/7 on, will this person die if I don't get them trained right? There's nothing else like that. So when you get out of military, there's going to be a drop. There's going to be a drop in your importance. There's going to be a drop in your mentality. There's going to be a drop in everything. So mentally prepare for that. And once again, use your network of friends and family to talk to them, because just like when you're serving, you're supposed to talk to your family so that they can get an idea of what you are and what
Yep.
you're doing. Well, when you retire, it's the same thing. They need to know your headspace. They need to know your thoughts so that they can be there to help you. And if they are, what you think they are, meaning they're for you like you're there for them, then that's the network you need to survive. Okay. And then your friends, don't lose contact with them, because the same way with me, most of my friends retired in my same window. Because, and he mentioned it before, Lance mentioned it before, you can't be friends with everybody when you're at certain levels. You're stuck to being friends with the people that are in your peer group.
Yep.
Yeah, and so just understand there's going to be a drop, and then identify those that you can rely on.
Yep.
And then whether you choose to go work in another job, whether you choose to work linked with the government, whether you choose not to do anything, it's up to you what you do. But for me, I just kept searching and trying to find what I wanted to do that brought me joy and interest, something that could keep my mind working, that would challenge me, and something that I could see myself improving at. And that's what drove me to becoming the marketing director for my wife's travel agency. And that's what also got us into social media, and what also eventually pushed us to do this podcast, because this stuff interests me. And if I didn't have this, if I wouldn't have found this, I would still be in the same little lull I was after retirement.
But I mean, and that's what exactly what Tommie was saying is planned. So it's what I used to tell a lot of guys whenever they were about to get out the army, weren't retiring, but get out the army, but to have a plan. You know, have a plan. It's the same thing with the with retirement. It's like, have a plan. If that plan is to I'm gonna chill for a year, then that's your plan. You know, if it's to I'm gonna look into doing some of these things, or some of your interests and different things that you were going back to work. I mean, just have a plan, and it makes it that much easier to execute.
Yeah, but like Tyson said, a plan works well till you get hit in the mouth.
You get hit in the mouth.
And retirement's getting hit in the mouth.
Yeah,
because there's no guarantee that job that you are seeking is first going to hire you, but is it going to turn out to be what you thought it was going to be?
It's contingencies. Have you some contingencies, because you might not get 100%.
Exactly.
You know, you might. It's a lot of things. So just
immediately
have you some contingencies.
Exactly.
But the thing is to enjoy it. Whenever you do retire, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Celebrate it, because you did something that very few folks in our country actually do. Yeah, I mean, you were part of a group.
Absolutely.
You know, an organization that does great things.
Yeah. And that was going to be the final thing I would say is, from both of us, once you go through that military service, it's your time to enjoy it. You know, enjoy retirement, because like you said, you earned it. So try to find things that bring you joy. Yeah. Even if it's like me, I was private for so long, right? But now I get on videos and telling stories about me with holes in my shoes and stuff like that. That's because I've always been silly. It's just, but with the military, that's a fine line I felt I had to draw. So just find something that brings you joy.
Yep.
And that's it. This is episode 3, retirement. The mindset shift after the uniform. We tried not to sugarcoat it, because it's tough for some people, and we wanted to make sure you understood that it wasn't roses. You can absolutely tell that it was different between him and I when it came to retirement. The advantage he had was, by the time I had met him, the sour taste was out of my mouth, so I had the ability to, I don't know how valuable it was, but I had the ability to give him my experience.
I mean, it is. You have to talk to your friends. I
Yeah.
mean, you got friends, you got folks on, you got us. You can holler at us,
absolutely.
because we know people that know people.
Yeah.
And if we don't have the answer, we most definitely direct you to where you need to go.
Absolutely.
So whether you've been in for 6 months, whether you're 6 months from retirement or 6 years into the game.
Yeah. But I just, once again, thanks for listening to 4 Titles, 1 Truth. If this helped you or reminded you of someone you served with, share it with them, because our intent on this is to help. Because the struggles we went through, we don't want people to go through that alone.
So we got more real talk coming your way. So keep listening, stay tuned.
Absolutely. And let's keep the conversation going. Thanks for joining us.
Peace out, y'all.